What's up everyone? Thank you for joining me for another video, and today Angelita and I are downtown Toronto at the Ritz-Carlton setting up for a couple's double birthday surprise. So I actually filmed and took pictures of this exact moment. I was kind of the balloon person, videographer and photographer of the day. So if you guys like seeing these like full event shots of what it looks like with the client and with the final look, let me know in the comments and I'll definitely try to include that in these upcoming videos this year. So I'm expanding, you know, I'm learning different skills, adding on. So you guys let me know how I'm doing. Also, quick announcement, memberships have launched on the channel. So this means that every month you get to join me for a live class. It's going to be 3 hours and we're going to be recreating different looks together, talking about pricing, materials, basically building the marketing aspect and sales aspect of the business. Every month there's going to be a different topic and a different theme. So if you guys want to find out more information on that, there's going to be a link in the bio where you can read about the different tiers and the different perks of each level of membership. So yeah, that's the big announcement. And without further ado, let's get started.
No money, no party. This is why if your budget is $400, we ain't taking the job. You see the work behind this? We ain't taking the job.
So the first color is single stuffed. It is chrome rose gold. Now a little tip here is that all QUALATEX chrome balloons are very, very durable. So these 11 inches that I'm using, some of them look very, very big. That's because I overinflated them. Do not be afraid to do this. It will not make your clusters harder to tie because the chrome has a lot of give to it. So again, that's just a small tip to differentiate your clusters in a group of chrome. Overinflate some of them. Now the second color is also single stuffed. It is just black. So again, very easy on the fingers and a great complementary to the sparkle of the chrome. The two double stuffed colors here that we're trying to decide between is the latex rose gold in the white and the wild berry in the white. Now, can you tell a difference of which is which? We honestly really couldn't tell a difference that much, so we went with the wild berry inside of the white instead of the rose gold. And again, the dollar difference on that is very different, but when you're ordering a large amount, it does help save on the total cost. So doing up all of those clusters, inflating 8 balloons per cluster, tying them together, the next step would be, and this is a very important step, is to play around with the cluster. Start moving it, tangle it, make sure that it's nice and dense in there together so that if you pull them apart, you can't have any holes or any gaps in between balloons. Sometimes I find that when I tie a bigger cluster to a smaller cluster, sometimes there are gaping holes in between. Like right now, I'm tying them together, but then you start to see a hole form. Now it's my job to twist them around to make sure that they're all sitting into each other nicely. And when you have a whole string of them, then you want to just make sure that they're all twisted in where the centers are all together. So if the centers of all of your clusters are all in one line, you have done a nice secure job of making sure your garland holds together. A common question I get is, how do you get your 16 inches to look so big? I don't get them to look big, I just inflate them to full size so that when I put them into a cluster like this, they make quite a big of a difference. And another thing is I get asked a lot is when I tie in my 16 inches, I can't get my clusters to be nice and snug together. And that goes into the last point. You have to twist them in. And to twist them in, first you need to figure out where it's going to sit. So first I thought it was going to go on the right hand side here, but then I figured I wanted it on the left. But on the left there was no way for me to attach it freestanding, so on fishing lines. So I needed to get out my frame. Now this metallized PVC kind of pipe, it's a specialized pipe. I'm going to link the supplier below. They're located in Canada, but they do ship across the US as well. So I have my IKEA knot lamp, which I'm gaffing down to the floor. So this is just regular gaff tape. I'm gaffing over the base plate of the IKEA knot lamp down to the floor, and this will just give me extra security. Again, the gaff tape you don't need scissors for, so that's another big plus there. Once it's gaff taped down to the floor, I'm going to hook on my line of clusters, which I tied all together. So I'm going to put them onto the pole first. I'm going to thread them all on, and I'm going to leave a little bit of an end for my hand to go on as I position it onto the knot lamp. So here I go, twisting it onto the white, pole here. You don't have to twist a lot. It's very durable. Once it holds, it's there. It's not going to go anywhere. So you don't have to keep twisting your clusters and creating extra tension. Just as long as you twist a few of them on, it's not going to go anywhere. So once I have it all onto the pole with my, let's say 6 inches left, I'm going to slide it onto the knot lamp and just make sure I have the angle that I want. From there, I can manipulate it left, right, or if I want it taller or higher. So once I have the position that I want, I'm going to take it off and start putting on the 3 foots. The first positioning was to basically see if I even have it in the height that I want it. And now I'm going to start detailing it because I like to detail the entire top of the garland before I actually put it onto the final positioning of it. So here I am tying in my 3 foots. Again, be generous with the necks. So that means when you're tying balloons, give yourself a big neck so that when you're tying them into your garland directly, you always have a lot of loose necks to choose from, because sometimes you're reaching your hand in there and there's really nothing to tie to. And that comes down to when you are tying and inflating the balloons, leave yourself a spare neck. So when you're done putting on the 3 foots, again, you're going to play the positioning game of where you want them. But before you do that, we have to add our secure rig points. Here are the click magnets, which I use. You can find them on Amazon or from the click manufacturer itself. I'm going to link the manufacturer. They are a bit pricey, but that's currently the only place I know where to buy them. And again, they're located in America. So this is what I do. I just double knot the fishing line, put it up onto the pot light, just sticks up just like that. Pull down your fishing line and then head into the very last cluster. Now, I'm just scared of ladders, which is why it's taking me quite a bit to do. But if you are not scared of heights, lassoing through that last cluster should realistically only take a couple of minutes at most. Try to get your lasso around a couple of those balloons at the very bottom. And honestly, you don't need to tie it off, because if you lassoed it very firmly, then it's not going to be going anywhere. And that's how it looks. So there's a lot of tension on it, but even a magnet like that, which is a 10-pound magnet, can hold quite a bit of weight on it. And realistically, with the frame, we didn't even need the magnet on there, but just to have that extra hold, you always want to secure the top or anything with fishing line, or in this case, a magnet. So attaching onto the body of the garland, the 3 foots. Once again, going into the very centers of the clusters, reaching in our ends and tying them around the PVC and into the center of the cluster. This will create a very dense look in the center, and it will also hold our clusters more tightly together. That's how that looks. So this is what we have, a very, very top heavy look right now, because the top is something that I can't touch and the bottom looks very bare. And that's the final look, guys. Imagine. I'm kidding. So onto orbs. This is more freehand for me. So usually I do everything very structured, everything very in order. This was more like a little masterpiece, and this is how masterpieces are created, by pushing things onto the ceiling. Realistically, I thought it looked beautiful, and this is how I did it. So I know it's very unorthodox, but you know what? It worked, and it worked quite stunningly. So I encourage you guys to experiment with this way. I basically took smaller balloons that are put into larger, thicker clusters to really chunk it up, and I started working top to bottom, which I realistically always work bottom to top. So that was another thing I did differently, but it is 2021, and sometimes when you try something new, it looks really nice and you can surprise yourself. So that's how I built it piece by piece. You see me going up. This time I chose to do 1 cluster instead of 2 clusters at a time, and I would build away at this. Granted, this took me about 2 times the amount of time it would take me to do a regular structured garland, the typical organic balloon way. This, I don't even know what to call it. I guess it's just a big cluster garland. I don't know how else to say, but the technique is the same. You see, you wrap around that 260 around the knot lamp, and you bring out another line of 260 and wrap in your next cluster, and then you just keep moving that way, and that creates that full bottom. You want to make sure to tuck all the clusters nice and onto the floor so that it looks like the balloons are coming and cascading down instead of just being propped up from the floor. And again, So you see how we're not even close to being done, but I start florals. You always want to take your stems of florals, spread them out, fan them out, and then put them into the spare parts of your garland before you start detailing it, so you have enough space to actually put your flowers. Now, I'm going to stop here. This is how the bottom looked when I didn't do the black section mended into the TV in the background. It kind of created a black hole in the center, so I tried to liven it up. And I tried to do that by adding another orb, and I figured that would make it look nicer, but what would make it look even nicer is if there was more light there. So I still didn't like it with the 2 orbs. It still seemed too dark for me, so I added another big orb and another small orb. And honestly, I think I figured it out. If you just keep adding orbs, it will look more stunning and also more expensive. But that's basically the trick. If you're wondering, add more accent pieces and more flowers, because you just can't make it look worse by adding more. It's not possible. So that's pretty much it. If you guys enjoy this vlog style type of video, please let me know in the comments. It is quite different than the classes and tutorials I've uploaded before. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and comment, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye!